50 of the most beautiful villages in Italy. Travel guide. In the winter of 2009, a violent tremor tore through the Abruzzo region of central Italy, killing over 300 people and reducing centuries-old stone towns to rubble within seconds. Villages that had stood since the Middle Ages, their walls untouched by time, cracked open in an instant, and for weeks afterward, officials feared that entire communities, some with histories stretching back over 1,000 years, might never be rebuilt. Families abandoned homes their ancestors had lived in for generations. Tourists stopped coming. And for a moment it seemed as though a piece of Italy's soul, its ancient hand-built villages, might simply vanish. But something remarkable happened instead. Local residents refused to let their heritage crumble into memory. Stone by stone, they restored what had been lost. And today, some of those very villages that nearly disappeared are now counted among the most breathtaking, most photographed, and most sought-after destinations in the entire country. This is the untold power of Italy's villages, fragile, ancient, and utterly irreplaceable. And that's exactly why, in this video, we are counting down 50 of them, the most stunning, most mysterious, and most unforgettable villages Italy has ever produced. So pay close attention, because by the end of this list, you may find the one place in Italy you never knew you needed to visit. Italy is home to more than 6,000 villages, and each one tells its own story of ancient allure, hidden history, and vistas that command awe. From the frost-kissed peaks of the north to the golden coasts of the south. Every single one of these villages carries a character shaped entirely by its region, its geography, and centuries of tradition. We've gathered the details on each destination, so you can see exactly why these places continue to pull travelers away from the crowded cities and into the quiet corners of the Italian countryside. Let's begin in Abruzzo, a region so mountainous and untouched that nearly a third of it is protected national parkland, making it one of the last truly wild corners of the country. Deep within Abruzzo sits Scano, a village framed by towering mountains and expansive forests that seem to swallow the horizon whole. Its medieval center is a maze of ancient stone buildings and lively squares that still reflect the daily rhythms of a slower, older way of life. Just a short walk away, the still waters of Lake Scano, shaped naturally like a heart, offer a peaceful setting for reflection. And throughout the year, the village bursts into celebration with festivals honoring regional traditions and culinary heritage that dates back centuries. Not far from Scano is Santo Stefano di Sasagno, a village so perfectly preserved that time genuinely seems to stand still here. Its stone houses overlook winding cobblestone paths that have barely changed in 500 years. And after the devastating earthquake of 2009 damaged the village's medieval tower, restoration efforts brought it back stone by stone. Santo Stefano is famous today for pioneering the slow tourism movement in Italy, inviting visitors to explore on foot or by bicycle rather than rushing through. Nearby, Pacentro clings to the mountains of Abruzzo, its medieval towers and labyrinthine cobblestone streets, weaving through a historic heart that has hosted festivals and celebrations for generations. Interestingly, Pacentro is also the ancestral home of Madonna's family, a small but surprising connection between this quiet mountain village and global pop culture. Traveling south into Basilicata, one of Italy's least visited, yet most dramatic regions, we find Castelmanzano, nestled in the jagged peaks of the Lucanian Dolomites. Homes here climb steeply up the mountainside, forming a visual spectacle so striking that it draws photographers and artists from across the globe. For adrenaline seekers, the Flight of the Angel zipline stretches between Castelmazzano and its twin village, soaring visitors above the valley at speeds reaching 120 kilometers per hour. That twin village, Pietrapertosa, shares the same dramatic Dolomite backdrop, but carries its own distinct character, with an ancient center that seems carved directly into the rock, narrow alleys, and a quiet atmosphere that feels frozen centuries in the past. Moving into Calabria, the sun-scorched toe of Italy's boot, we arrive at Gerace, a medieval gem nestled among mountains in the Reggio Calabria province. Its labyrinth of narrow alleys opens onto panoramic squares, with sweeping views of the countryside and the distant Ionian Sea. And its Norman cathedral, one of the largest in the region, stands as a testament to its ancient splendor. Along the Tyrrhenian coast lies Scylla, a seaside village tied inextricably to Greek mythology, as this was believed to be the lair of the monster Scylla, who, according to legend, terrorized sailors navigating the narrow strait between Italy and Sicily. Its castle, perched dramatically above the village, overlooks crystal-clear waters, and the colorful fishermen's houses lining the shore still carry an air of ancient myth. Just along the coast, Tropea earns its nickname as the Pearl of the Tyrrhenian for its brilliant white beaches and cliffs plunging into turquoise water. Its historic center winds through noble palaces and Baroque churches, and the village has become famous worldwide for its sweet, mild red onion, a protected culinary treasure enjoyed alongside some of the most spectacular sunsets in all of Italy. Campania, the region cradling Naples and the Amalfi Coast, hides gems far beyond its famous cities. Procida, the least touristic island in the Gulf of Naples, is a hidden treasure of pastel-colored houses reflecting off calm harbor waters. It gained international attention as the filming location for the 1994 film Il Postino, and more recently served as the backdrop for the acclaimed series My Brilliant Friend, and in 2022 it was named Italy's Capital of Culture, a rare honor for such a small island. Sorrento sits on a natural terrace overlooking the Gulf of Naples, blending lush gardens, historic villas, and narrow medieval streets filled with artisan shops. It has long been the gateway for excursions to Capri, Pompeii, and the Amalfi Coast, and its production of limoncello, wood inlays, and fine ceramics has made it a cultural touchstone for centuries. Along the Amalfi Coast itself, Citara stands out as a genuine fishing village, cradled by steep cliffs and famous for its anchovy fishing and a prized anchovy extract called colatura, a delicacy dating back to ancient Roman fish sauce recipes. In Emilia-Romagna, Brisighella rises with pastel-colored buildings beneath a medieval tower perched on one of its 3 columns, iconic hills offering sweeping panoramas of the countryside. The village is also known for producing some of Italy's finest olive oil, having earned protected status for its unique variety. Nearby, Castellarcado offers a peaceful escape from urban life, its stone houses and narrow streets forming a haven of rural Emilian tranquility that has changed little since the Middle Ages. Friuli Venezia Giulia, tucked into Italy's northeastern corner near the border with Slovenia, holds villages steeped in layers of history. Cividale del Friuli sits along the Natisone River, its UNESCO-listed historic center reflecting centuries of Lombard heritage, once serving as the first capital of the Lombard Duchy in Italy. Aquileia, founded in 181 BC, rose to become one of the most important cities of the Roman Empire, and its archaeological site today reveals an imposing basilica and expansive forum that continue to captivate historians. In fact, the basilica's floor mosaics are considered among the largest and best preserved Roman mosaics in the Western world. Venzone, recognized as one of Italy's most beautiful villages, is entirely encircled by perfectly preserved medieval walls, and its cathedral of Santa Maria Annunziata holds precious frescoes alongside the village's celebrated prosciutto production. In Lazio, the region surrounding Rome, Calcata perches on a tough cliff above the Treja River Valley, its homes carved directly into volcanic rock. Once slated for demolition in the 1930s due to fears the cliff was unstable, the village was abandoned for decades until artists and bohemians began resettling it in the 1960s and 70s, transforming it into a thriving haven of galleries and creative studios. Along the coast, Sperlonga charms with labyrinthine stone streets and traditional white cottages, but beyond its beaches lies the Grotta di Tiberio, a seaside grotto where Emperor Tiberius once built a lavish dining room, adorned with ancient frescoes still visible today. Liguria, the narrow coastal region famous for the Italian Riviera, gives us Portofino, perhaps the most photographed harbor in the world, encircled by pastel houses and luxury yachts that have drawn celebrities since the 1950s. Its rugged coastline and scenic trails offer secluded views that contrast beautifully with its glamorous reputation. Camogli, with its brightly colored seafaring facades, honors its fishing heritage through an annual fish festival, where a massive frying pan, over 4 meters wide, cooks thousands of portions of fish for the entire town. Cervo overlooks the Ligurian Sea with cobblestone streets and pastel houses, and each summer it hosts a prestigious international chamber music festival that transforms the tiny village into a stage for world-class musicians. Lombardy brings us to the shores of Lake Como, where Varenna enchants with flower-draped streets, ancient villas, and views of the Alps rising behind the water. And Bellagio, often called the Pearl of Lake Como, sits precisely at the point where the lake splits into 2 branches, its sophisticated villas and upscale streets attracting travelers seeking timeless Italian elegance. In Marche, Gradara is dominated by an imposing medieval castle, believed by many scholars to be the setting of the tragic love story of Paolo and Francesca, immortalized by Dante in his Divine Comedy. Urbino, a Renaissance treasure, is the birthplace of the painter Raphael and home to the Ducal Palace, one of the most important Renaissance monuments in Italy, drawing scholars and art lovers from around the world. Cirolo, nicknamed the Pearl of the Adriatic, sits within Conero Park and offers golden beaches alongside crystalline waters that rival anything found further south. Molise, one of Italy's smallest and least known regions, hides Trivento among lush green hills, its quiet alleys leading to ancient churches and a serene atmosphere far removed from modern life. Pietracupa, home to barely 200 residents, offers stone houses and picturesque alleys surrounded by rolling green countryside, a place where visitors genuinely feel as though they've stepped outside of time itself. Piedmont, in Italy's northwest, is synonymous with world-class wine, and Nave sits at the heart of the Langhe wine region, surrounded by vineyards that produce some of the country's most celebrated bottles. Its medieval castle adds historic depth to a village beloved by wine connoisseurs. Nearby, Barolo lends its name to one of Italy's most prestigious wines, often called the King of Wines, and the village's ancient stone houses and wine cellars invite visitors to taste the very tradition that made this region famous across the globe. In Apulia, the sun-drenched heel of Italy, Locrotondo stands out for its unique circular layout and striking white houses with pointed roofs, a design so distinctive it has earned recognition as one of Italy's most beautiful villages. Otranto, perched on the Adriatic coast, holds the title of Italy's easternmost point, and its cathedral features one of the largest floor mosaics in the world, depicting the tree of life across the church floor. Peschici, set on the Gargano promontory, offers stark white houses perched dramatically above the sea, resembling villages more commonly found in Greece than mainland Italy. Sardinia, the second largest island in the Mediterranean, offers Alghero, where Catalan heritage blends seamlessly with Sardinian culture, a legacy of Aragonese rule dating back to the 14th century that still shapes the local dialect spoken today. Its ancient defensive walls and pristine beaches make it one of the island's most visited towns. Castelsardo commands a hilltop with sweeping views over the sea, its medieval castle and cobblestone streets, housing museums and shops dedicated to traditional Sardinian basket weaving, a craft the village has practiced for generations. Sicily, Italy's largest island, brings us Ragusa Ibla, renowned for its exceptional Baroque architecture rebuilt after a catastrophic earthquake in 1693, destroyed much of the original town. Its UNESCO-recognized historic center showcases architectural brilliance that has made it a filming location for the beloved series Inspector Montalbano. Marzamemi, on the southeastern coast, carries a history rooted in tuna fishing, dating back to Arab settlement in the 10th century, and its colorful harbor still buzzes with the energy of a working fishing village. Savoca, perched near Taormina, gained international fame as a filming location for The Godfather, where the iconic wedding scene between Michael Corleone and Apollonia was shot in the village's own church, a detail that continues to draw film pilgrims from around the world. Tuscany, arguably Italy's most romanticized region, gives us Pienza, celebrated as the Renaissance's ideal city, commissioned by Pope Pius II in the 1450s as an experiment in urban planning that would embody Renaissance humanist ideals. Its central piazza remains one of the finest examples of Renaissance architecture in the country. Montalcino, famous for its Brunello wine, sits on a hill overlooking vineyards that produce one of the most expensive and sought-after wines in all of Italy, with certain vintages fetching hundreds of dollars per bottle. San Gimignano, often called the medieval Manhattan, is famous for its 14 surviving towers, though at its peak in the 13th century the village boasted as many as 72 towers, built by competing noble families racing to build the tallest structure in town. In Trentino Alto Adige, a region where Italian and German cultures blend seamlessly, Riva del Garda sits on the northern shores of Lake Garda, offering some of the best windsurfing conditions in Europe thanks to consistent afternoon winds funneling down from the mountains. Castelrotto, known in German as Kastelruth, sits at the foot of the Dolomites, and its colorful houses and historic parish church make it a gateway to the Alpe di Siusi, the largest high-altitude alpine meadow in Europe. Umbria, often called the green heart of Italy, offers Spello, known as the City of Flowers, for its annual Infiret festival, where residents spend an entire night creating elaborate carpets of flower petals across the village streets, a tradition dating back to the 17th century. Assisi, the birthplace of St. Francis, draws pilgrims from across the world to the Basilica of St. Francis, a UNESCO World Heritage site containing frescoes by Giotto that revolutionized Western art. Spoleto, encircled by hills, hosts the internationally renowned Festival of Two Worlds each summer, an event founded in 1958 that brings together artists and audiences from across the globe to celebrate music, theater, and dance. Veneto rounds out our journey with a solo, dubbed the City of 100 Horizons for its panoramic views, once home to the poet Robert Browning and the legendary actress Eleanor Aduse, both drawn to the village's quiet, timeless beauty. Malsicine, on the shores of Lake Garda, sits beneath the imposing Skelliger Castle, and its panoramic cable car rotates a full 360 degrees as it ascends to Monte Baldo, offering riders a constantly shifting view of the lake and mountains below. Finally, in the Aosta Valley, nestled at the very foot of Mont Blanc, Courmayeur has become one of Europe's premier ski destinations. Its historic center of ancient stone houses contrasting beautifully with the high-altitude adventure sports that draw visitors year-round, and Gressoni, divided into Gressoni Saint-Jean and Gressoni La Trinité, reflects the culture of the Walser people, a Germanic community that settled these alpine valleys centuries ago and still preserves its distinct language and traditional architecture today. From the earthquake-scarred mountains of Abruzzo to the sun-bleached cliffs of Sicily, these 50 villages represent something far greater than postcard-worthy scenery. They represent resilience, cultures that have refused to disappear despite earthquakes, wars, economic decline, and the slow pull of modern life toward crowded cities. Many of these villages have fewer than a few thousand residents, some barely a few hundred, and yet they continue to draw travelers from every corner of the globe, all searching for something increasingly rare. A place where history has not been paved over, where tradition still shapes daily life, and where beauty exists, not because it was designed, but because it simply endured. If you've made it this far, you now hold a map to 50 of the most extraordinary hidden corners of Italy. So, which one will you visit first? Let us know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this journey through Italy's most beautiful villages, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more travel guides exploring the Hiddy.